Hey, good morning. Hey, everybody, how you doing? It's a Saturday, not a weekday, because the truck's back on the road. Praise God. But anyway, we are here again in Jennings State Forest, and I have a lot of people ask me, hey, you're always at Jennings, can you tell me a little bit more about it? So today we're going to be on several of the trails, and I'm just going to give you kind of an unofficial overview of what you can expect on these trails and how to kind of plan your day at Jennings State Forest. So let's get going. Welcome to the Crosscut Trail. The Crosscut Trail is about a little over 2 miles, and it's an out and back, or it can be connected to other trails, but it starts at the Dunn Farm Trailhead on Longhorn Road, and as you head in, you turn left and follow the kind of light green blazes. It is, as you can see, pretty wide open, so it's definitely not an afternoon trail. There is a small campground on the Crosscut Trail, about 1.5 miles in. There's also a really cool wildlife viewing area about 1 mile in. And if it's not really hot out, it's a great trail for the little ones, because there's a lot of cool plants along the way, a lot of things to talk about as far as nature goes. And it's pretty flat and pretty easy to hike. The Crosscut connects into the Pioneer Trail down at, I believe it's Knight's Landing, but if it's not, I'll put it in right here as to what landing it is. And from there, you can head to the north end of the Pioneer Trail or further south, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But we're now heading into the hammock at the Crosscut Trail. That's the color of the blazes right there. So if you wanted to do a full out and back on the Crosscut, you're going to be right at a little bit under 5 miles. A nice hike to just get out and get on the trail. Let's keep cruising. So we're here at the Crosscut campground. It's actually a little under 1 mile to get here. As you can see, it's a small camp. There is no water here, and but there's a fire ring and a nice little table. Plenty of room for you to put your tents. A lot of folks like to come out to this little camp if they want to test out gear. If you want to just, park your car, run out here, quick mile out on a Friday afternoon or something, have a night in the woods. And remember, again, there is no water available anywhere near this camp in order to filter or anything else. So let's keep going. A little over 1 mile in on the Crosscut Trail is a nature viewing bench. I don't know if you can see it, there's a bench out there. All right, so I like to recommend, especially if you have little munchkins with you, great place to come. It's about 1 mile hike out. You can hang out at the viewing bench. Plenty of room to have a little picnic out there. Remember, bring everything out with you that you brought in, no litter. And then you can head back to the car. What a nice little hike. Also, I can tell you from past experience, it's a fantastic spot to stargaze. However, Jennings State Forest is closed after sunset unless you're camping here. So if you're camping at any of the close by campgrounds, it's a great place to hike back out to, watch satellite goes by, see shooting stars. We've seen some really cool stuff out here, and maybe if I remember, I'll put a link into the video where we came out here at night. Anyway, as you can see, the gang is ahead of me, so I need to pick up the pace and catch up. Next stop, Pioneer Trail. Okay, so we just came off of the greenish blazes of the Crosscut Trail. Let's see, as it tells you, Dunn's Farm Trailhead is about 2.7 miles. So that, if you come down here and back, it's about a little over 5 miles. Now we're going on to the blue of the Pioneer Trail. We're here where the Crosscut meets the Pioneer Trail. I forget, I think this is Knight's Landing. But anyway, if you go that way, about 1.5 miles up, you will get to the northern terminus of the Pioneer Trail. And if you go that way, about a little over 11 miles south, you will get to the southern terminus of the Pioneer Trail. So we're going to be cruising on the blue blazes of the Pioneer Trail for a while. I do want to say something that I didn't pop in there should you come hiking in Jennings State Forest. Pretty much every mile you will find kind of a rest area or a bench or an eagle project that someone has done. Also, you'll always find the trail well maintained here and the blazes very easily and clearly marked. And there is a there's a website that has all of the maps and all the information that you need. Most of these are also on all trails, most of these trails. But now we're heading into the Pioneer Trail. So let's cruise down this and talk about it a little bit. So we just stepped onto the Pioneer Trail. We're in what's called Section 4. There are 5 sections starting down at Indian Ford. I think that sign said 11.1 miles away, and heading up here. Many people come to hike the Pioneer Trail. I would say it's one of the top trails in Florida as far as just all around awesome trail. It does have quite a bit of elevation change. I don't know the exact numbers. I think it's somewhere in the 400-foot range. This land, I won't get too deep into the land, but much of this land for the years has been used for logging, farming, and turpentine. But on the Pioneer Trail, you'll find these fellers. It's hard for you to tell, but that's a big pine tree. That pine tree is probably 50 plus years old. As I said, a lot of ups and downs on this trail. People who have no other option in Florida but want to train for trails in the mountains or the Appalachian Trail and stuff will come and do the Pioneer Trail. It is blazed in blue. It's the longest trail here. It starts down at Indian Ford at the south and ends at North Fork Recreation Area at the north. When you get to the north end of the Pioneer Trail, you will say, well, where's the northern terminus? Well, it's across North Fork of Black Creek. It's the only place where there's not a bridge to get across the creek, because bridges cost a lot of money. So if you're heading from south to north and you want to leave a car on the north end, you're going to be crossing the creek at the end of the day. Most of the year that's not that big of a problem, but sometimes you might be swimming a little bit. In the winter, it is cold. I'll put a picture right here of a few of us freezing after we crossed this in one chilly January day. Sorry I'm huffing and puffing, but we're going uphill right now. As you can see, this trail runs primarily along North Fork of Black Creek, another big pine tree. It's the ravines down there, and as I said, a lot of slow and steady uphills here. Beautiful, beautiful trail. It's just really beautiful woods. We're not going to do the whole Pioneer Trail today. You'll see that as we get further into it. But I strongly recommend this trail. There are a lot of places along the trail. Again, check the map, where you can come in, park your car, and get a little treat, a couple of miles in, a couple of miles out. So you definitely don't need to commit to hiking the full 12 plus miles. But gee whiz, just look at this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are in Florida. Sure doesn't look like it, does it? All right, let's keep going. Okay, well, on the Pioneer Trail there are going to be several of these overlooks here. This one, I don't know the name of this. Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry.
Hatcher overlook.
This is Hatcher Overlook, and if you want to hike the Springer Mountain, it's only 383 miles to start the Appalachian Trail from here. Don't know how you get there, but for most of these overlooks, they're going to overlook down onto the North Fork of Black Creek, which is pretty low right now. Sometimes you'll come here, you'll be shocked, and this water is much, much higher through here. But anyway, as you're on the Pioneer Trail, you're going to see several of these overlooks. They're a great place to rest, grab lunch, and take a little break. Anyway, let's keep going. So along the Pioneer Trail, listen, I just want to stress, this is a general information, high level. Please don't comment you missed something or whatever, okay? People have asked, tell me more about the individual trails, and I just want to give you an overview, so their disclaimer done. But along the Pioneer Trail, there are several of these camps. I'll tell you, I've been here to Neighbors Camp Zone. The water's right down there, so you got water not too far away. It's another great place to see. We won't go up there too, because I got to stay up with the group, but it's another great place to see stars at night. I will tell you, without talking about the rest of them, we're not going down there today, but Chapman's campground down further towards the southern terminus is right on the creek, and it is beautiful, fantastic campground. So don't go there, leave it for me. No, just kidding. Anyway, Chapman's campground. I will tell you that the primitive campgrounds here in Jennings State Forest are first come, first serve. There are 2 car campgrounds that are, you know, no water, no power, but you can bring a small camper or a car there. I don't even really know the names of them off the top of my head. You can look them up, but those do require a reservation and a small fee. But here in the forest on the Pioneer Trail, as well as that other camp on Crosscut Trail, those are first come, first serve, no reservation needed. And there's, other than the day use fee, which we'll talk about at the end, there is no fee required for those camps. All right, let's keep cruising. Okay, we're at another one of the overlooks, coal overlook here, and look, if you want to hike the Appalachian Trail to Mount Katahdin, you only have 12,581 miles. I don't know how accurate that is, but here's Cole's overlook. You can see we're way up above the creek, so, you know, people say there's no hills here in Florida, and really there's not any mountains or anything, but remember earlier we were walking down right by the creek, and now we're way up here above the creek, so there wasn't no escalator or elevator. Right, everybody?
Nice.
We had to hike up here, so it's a great trail for the get a good workout on your legs. We're going to keep cruising on along here, and we'll check back in when we get to the shared Pioneer and Dunn's Farm Trail, so we'll see you there. So on the Pioneer Trail, there are a couple of little side trails. This is a very short one. It's Washtub Falls. To give you an idea how hard the rangers and volunteers work here, look at this infrastructure here they put in. That's Washtub Falls right there, and then comes down here to the creek where that's actually lime rock. Pretty nice little swimming hole right here. Who's going in? And very nice. The other one that we will not be going to today is called the Creekside Loop. It's about a 0.1 loop that brings you down by the creek at another set of falls as well as a little set of rapids, which is really cool. We won't be going there today, but it is off of the Pioneer Trail. So there are 2 very cool blue blazes off the Pioneer Trail, so I strongly recommend, as always, take the blue blazes, folks. Unless you're in a big hurry, go do it. You'll find really nice stuff. But anyway, we're going to keep on cruising. I said we would not see you again until we got to the Dunn's Farm Trail, so I lied, but now we're not going to see you again until I get to the Dunn's Farm Trail, so let's get going. All right, so we have now made it, I don't know how many miles we just went, about 4 miles or so. And now we've just now made it to where the Pioneer Trail meets the Dunn's Farm Trail. I'm going to go right here, and I think you guys will be able to zoom in on those and click them to know where you are. Here's the map. We just came off the Pioneer Trail right there. Remember, that's the blue blazes. And we're going to go on the Dunn's Farm Trail, which we'll talk about more about that in just a few minutes. But the Pioneer Trail, hey, respect the rattlesnakes and ticks, and there are rattlesnakes and ticks here, is going to be a shared trail. This part of it is blue and pink, blue for the Pioneer and pink for the Dunn's Farm. And then the Dunn's Farm is actually a loop. The rest of the Dunn's Farm is pink, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But we're going to get cruising down this trail in just a moment. Just one more thing I want to show you. If you kind of wanted to end your day here on your loop from going to Crosscut to the Pioneer, you could hike out 1 mile this way to where our cars are parked from earlier this morning on the pink blazes of the Dunn's Farm Trail. So if you decide to be a sissy and bail out, that's where you're going. Anyone going that way? Oh, everyone's looking for ticks. Any ticks?
I got one. He's right here. You want?
Oh, nice. So you put it right on my hat. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. That's why I love you so much. Let's see. Where's the tick? I don't think we're going to get him on this, but
He's still.
there he is. He's still alive. We're going to have to blast that guy. Yeah, ticks suck. All right, let's get going. Okay, so now we are on the shared Dunn's Farm and Pioneer Trail loop. So technically we're on the Dunn's Farm loop. So to tell you a little bit about the Dunn's Farm loop, you can get on the Dunn's Farm loop up where we had parked our cars. We originally got on the Crosscut Trail, and you can come and follow the pink blazes straight in and take this loop. It's about a 2.5 mile loop total, and it is a true loop. You follow the pink blazes either way, and you're going to hike down this ravine ahead. Look how pretty that is. You're going to cross a couple of waterfalls and actually get down close to the creek and climb your way back up. We will not do the top end of the loop because we're going to stay on the Pioneer Trail to go to another one of what I call the connector trails. Those connector trails being the Crosscut and the one we're going to, the Sawyer loop, or Sawyer Trail, which are, sorry, going down some steps, which are kind of connector trails to allow you to make different size loops all along the way. So to clarify, we came down the Crosscut, then we took the Pioneer Trail southbound to where it met the Dunn's Farm loop. If you went out from there, you'd be doing about a 6 mile loop. We're going to end up at about 10 mile loop because we're going to stay on the shared Dunn's Farm and Pioneer Trail southbound until we get to the Sawyer loop. It'll make sense when we get down there. Hey, look, Duck Pond Falls. Just like everything else on the Jennings trails, Jennings State Forest trails, you'll find beautiful benches, plenty of signage, well maintained and well blazed. So we'll just take some pictures of the shared portion of the Dunn's and the Pioneer, and then we'll check back in a little bit later. I got to catch up with them now. So one thing that we didn't really talk about was water along the way. Now there's, you have to filter and treat any water along any of the trails here in Jennings State Forest. But here on the Crosscut, on the Pioneer and Dunn's Farm shared is Prescott Falls, which is another great place to get some water. And I just would say, remember to be gentle with the land around here. A lot of people come down here, don't want to be tearing up the ground or anything. This is not really a swimming hole. It looks a little delicate for that. I'm sure you probably could get in the water, but it is a good place to put your hat in the water and put some cold water on your head, and a great place to get something to drink. Anyway, we'll see you in a little while when we get off of the shared trail and back onto the main Pioneer Trail. I don't know. Hey, this is where the shared Dunn's Farm and Crosscut Trail end, and you can take the Dunn's Farm Trail. It's about 0.4 to Dunn's Camp Zone. A little bit past that, you'll get to that area we were before, where it's 1 mile out to the ranger station. So the Dunn's Farm loop, you would have come up, we just came down and then go up this and go out. You do about 2.5 miles. Again, we're on that longer 10 mile loop. Now it will all make sense when we get to the end. So we're not going that way. We're going back on the blue blazes of the pure Pioneer Trail, and we are heading southbound. So let's keep cruising, and we'll check back in when we get to Actually, there's going to be a couple of more stops and then we'll get to the Sawyer Trail. So let's keep cruising. Another great place to take a blue blaze here, if you're hiking on the Pioneer Trail, is to stop and visit the Dunn Cemetery. Here there's a kiosk where you can find a little bit about the history of Jennings Forest before it was Jennings State Forest, and learn about some of the family and some of the people. You can pay respects to some of the folks who have been laid to rest out here in the Dunn Cemetery. Anyway, we will check back in when we get to the Sawyer, which is one of the connector trails we've been talking about. I'll check back in with you there, and then we're going to start heading our way out. Let's get going. Maureen is making her way up from Many Seats Bridge on the Pioneer Trail. I'm catching my breath. This is a Pioneer southbound. We'll take you down to Indian Ford, or the southern terminus of the Pioneer Trail. But we're not going there today. This is a newer, what I call, connecting trail called the Sawyer Trail. Yes, we're on the yellow blaze of the Sawyer Trail. There's Pioneer, that big old hill right there. And we're going up to the Sawyer Trail, which is a very, very new trail here. Thank you, Gary, for putting this trail in, and whoever else was helping you with this. And we only got 1.3 to get back to the Dunn's Farm Trailhead. So, Sawyer Trail, very similar to the upper levels of the Pioneer Trail. We're not down by a creek. It's actually a kind of a flat trail once we get past here, and really well designed. You know, a lot of times people will just cut a trail in because they need one. Here it's all windy between significant trees, and just a really beautiful trail. If you were going to come from the Dunn's Farm Trailhead, hike down the Sawyer Trail, turn around and go back from the Pioneer back to the Dunn's Farm Trailhead, you'd have a nice 2 miles knocked out in this beautiful, beautiful forest. And what a great way to start or end a day. So anyway, we'll check in when we get back up here to the Dunn's Farm Trailhead. Well, here's the gang. We're all sweating a little bit. We're right here at the end of the Sawyer, and it's going to connect into the pink Dunn's Farm, and we got about 0.5 up there till we get to our cars. I'm going to wrap it up right here though for you. I hope you liked seeing a little bit more detail of each of the trails, and when I get back and I'm not dying of heat exhaustion, I will check in from the home base and kind of recap with you what each of the loops are that are available to you here from the Dunn's Farm Trailhead in Jennings State Forest. So, and also to show you the whole Pioneer Trail right here or here or here on the screen, I will put a link where you can see the last time Jacksonville Hiking did the whole Pioneer Trail together. So you can click on that and see what kind of fun that was. I think I'll put the one where it was raining. And please do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. We'll see you on the trail real soon, folks. Happy trails. Bye-bye.